attribute error will raise. So the next error, which is exception. Base class for all exceptions. So it is the base class all of for all exceptions, and these are so many errors. So everyone, these errors is not required to remember or learn. It is not need to learn. Or if you want to learn any specific type of error, then you can go to the documentation and you can read the documentation of Python. So you can also go to the documentation of Python if you want to know about the specific type of error. For example, open your browser, Chrome browser or any other browser like Firefox. Now type here built-in exceptions in Python documentation. So this is the Python documentation of built-in exceptions and Python 3.12.3 documentation. Click on it. Now these all are built-in exceptions and you can read it. For example, built-in exceptions. What is built-in exceptions? And these are some exceptions. For example, the first exception is inheriting from built-in exceptions, and then this is also exception, concrete exception, and you can read it. There are so many exceptions in Python. What is warnings and what is exceptions group? So you can also read the documentation of Python if you know any specific type of topics. Okay, so move to our topic, close it, and now this is our screen, and so this is also error, EOF error, raised when the input method hits an end of file condition, EOF, and floating point error means raised when floating point calculation fails. Floating point numbers means 2.0 and 9 point something 10. So any number which is in the form of decimals are called floating numbers. Now just erase it. And the next error, which is, so the next error is generator exit. And it's also error raised when a generator is closed with the close method. Import error raised when imported modules does not exist. Indentation error, indentation means 4-line space or a tab button. You can use a tab button to 4-line space. Tab gives 4-line space. So 4-line space. So okay, so the next error is index error. Index error raised when an index of a sequence does not exist. And key error raised when a key does not exist in the dictionary. We know that what is dictionary. Dictionary are in the form of key value pairs. and if the keys does not exist in the dictionary, then these error occur. Key error. Keyword interrupt raised when the user press Ctrl plus C, Ctrl plus Z or delete. Okay. Lookup error. So this is not very important error, but raised when errors raised can't be found, and memory error raised when a program runs out of memory. Name error. Name error when a variable doesn't exist. And the last one is not implemented error. It raised when an abstract. So the last error is not implement error. Raised when an abstract method requires an inherited class to override the method. Okay, so these are some types of errors. Now move to the next topic. So alright everyone, I hope you will understand what is exceptions in Python. So next topic is exception handling. It is very important topic. Exception handling is a process of responding to unwanted or unexpected event. So please remember its definition. When a computer programs run, exception handling deals with these events to avoid the program or system crashing with, and without this process, exceptions would disrupt the normal operation of a program. So in this way, we can handle the exceptions in Python. So how many types of exceptions? Python has many built-in exceptions that are raised when your program encounters an error, sometimes in the Python program's wrong. When these exceptions occur, the Python interrupt stops the current process and passes it to the calling process until it is handled. And if not handled, the program will crash. So the first exception is try and except. This is exception handling. So what is try block? Try except blocks are used in Python to handle errors and exceptions. The code in try block runs when there is no error. If the try block catches the error, then the except block is executed. Okay, so what is try except? So this is the syntax of try. You will first write try and then indentation and then pass your statement and here exception, and then except block will come. Some zoom out screen. So and then your solution of generated exceptions. Okay, alright everyone. So this is the example of try and accept. What is this example? So this is our code. Number equal to int input, enter an integer. So the input, it is mandatory here, the input will be a integer number. If you type any type of string, so it will raise an error. So try this. If something went wrong, then go to the except block and raise value error. And also print number entered is not integer. Not integer means it can be a float number and it can be a string character. So everyone, open your Jupyter notebook and let's start code and for better understanding. So this is our Jupyter notebook and now we will start our code of try, accept, and one more topic which is finally block. Now create a new Python file. I've noted here that the syntax of Jupyter Notebook is not .py. The syntax of Jupyter Notebook is ipynb. Here you can see it. So you can download the Jupyter file in this format also as SkyDoc. This is HTML and PDF file also. And if you only click on download, then this file syntax will be ipynb. Okay. You will pass your code int input. It means the input is mandatory that the input is a integer number. Enter an integer number. If the input is not an integer number, so this code will raise an error. Accept value error and then print your statement. Print number entered is not an integer. Okay, now execute this code. Type any number 100. So the code does not execute, raise an error. But if we will type any string, so this code will raise an error. So this is singular. Similarly, try str equal to int input, enter a string character, and this is str. Now in the accept block you can raise an error, print and print your statement. Input is not a string. Now execute this code and number. So I think something went wrong in this code, because in this code we will use raise keyword. So enter a string or number. If user takes input dot, now here we will use is digit. raise value error. Input is a number, accept value error SE, print E. So now give the input. Input is not a number, this is our error, and type anything, for example hello world, so it will not give an error. So what is this raise keyword, raise block? So in this video we will also discuss what is raise block, raise exception, so don't need to worry about it. But in this way you can write your code and take input from user, a string character, word, but if the user takes wrong input, for example a number, so this code will raise an error. Now move to the next topic. So this is our finally clause. What is finally clause? The finally clause block is also a part of exception handling. When we handle exceptions using the try and except block, we can include a finally block at the end. The finally block is always executed. So everyone, it is very remember to learn finally block is always executed. So this is the advantage of finally block. So it is generally used for doing the concluding tasks like closing file resources. Why is it used? It is generally used for doing the concluding tasks like closing file resources or closing database connection, or maybe ending the program execution with a delightful message. So the syntax of try, accept and finally block. This is the syntax of try, accept and finally. So first try, you will try, and this is your statement, and then your accept block, this is your statement, and at last finally block is always executed. So this is here you will write your statement and execute in any situation. The finally block is executed irrespective of the outcome of try, accept, else blocks. One of the important use cases of finally block is in a function which returns a value. So the important use of finally block is in a function, because finally block is always executed. So important use cases of finally block we can see in the function which returns a value. So this is our example of finally clause. First